Every time, Sam. All right, friends. Well, please join me in welcoming Dr. Dana Rega to talk to us about the Mafia. Oh, and I will tell you this one thing. The Mafia is showing up with their Tommy guns at 2 o'clock to shoo you out of this room after Dana's presentation is over so that we can get ready for casino night. All right, let's welcome Dana.
Thank you so much, Jill, for the invitation. I'm really looking forward to this. And I love the schedule for your week. It seems like you're up to a lot of great fun. And as Jill said, I work on Mafia film and TV. I work a lot of, rather than stuff in them, but around. Like I love to think about things like casting, locations, reception, how audiences respond to things over time. And I chose to talk about The Godfather today because it just celebrated its 50th birthday last year, and I'm imagining it's a film that some of you might have seen. Who's seen The Godfather? Okay, so great. So we can. I'm trying to make this, a balance between kind of talk with kind of fun information, but also some fun stuff so we can for conversation. And so I find it personally interesting reflecting on The Godfather at 50 as. I was born 1 year before the film's 1972 release in 1971. In a sense, it's not coming through.
Oh. We'll have you hold on as much as you can. Okay. So I shouldn't take this one off. Okay. We'll swap it. Okay.
Does that work?
Is that a little better? Yep.
Yes. Okay. There we go. So I, in a sense, like many, I grew up with The Godfather, having been born 1 year before it was released. And my father and every member of my family, I'm Italian American, watched it obsessively. And I was exposed to things that many young children today would be incredibly shocked by. When I was 7, that 4-horse head that some of you might remember, it's like forever burned in my memory. And for many, The Godfather is a family movie, which is intriguing for several reasons, including the multifaceted meanings of family within the film The Mafia. So when you're talking about kind of relationship family, people always use the lower F, parents, friends, etc. But the Mafia is an uppercase F that always subsumes and takes control over everything else. So families and kind of across time and space have responded differently to the film, given a lot of really complicated kind of conversations about gender and race that the film brings up across time. So there's not much scholarship on this film, which is really interesting. There was a lot of stuff that came out in the 70s, but not much more recently. And I was really curious about this because the film is, for me, foundational in talking about this idea. Oh shoot, I hope you can see that. About kind of so that it's based on the Cosa Nostra, the mafia of Sicily, which was exported to the United States. Cosa Nostra. Is anyone speaking Italian? Yes. So Cosa Nostra, our thing. It's a very hierarchical mafia. It's very strict boundaries of who could do what, and women are completely excluded from it. A mafia sociologist wrote that a man's first duty is to not be a woman. Women are totally excluded from the mafia. And this is very clear in The Godfather. You'll remember Don Vito in certain places, Michael in certain places, a lot of women in the kitchen, and a lot of women kind of on the side. And they have to kind of, women in the mafia have this really strong burden. They can't be central to organizations like Cosa Nostra, but their duty is to raise kids and raise them in mafia values. So, which is really interesting. So there's also something that some of you might remember in the film, this question of kind of casual racism. There's a lot of racism in the Godfather films and mafia movies in general. And it was, there's a lot of kind of very, very expletive derogatory slurs against a lot of ethnic groups, but particularly against African Americans. And this is something that people don't really talk at all about when they talk about the film, I think because the film is like such a canonical film. And it says, you know, just citing from this quote, Black audiences who cheered on the Corleones' murderous rampages were brought up noticeably short by the mob's nonchalant, racist, old world approach to drug dealing. So a lot of audiences, and I'll get to this in a second, more recent audiences, when I teach this film to like 500 or 600 students on campus at Ohio State, really that's the thing that really upsets them is the racism and the treatment of women in the film. So I'm going to talk first of all about what it means to like kind of be a man in the Mafia. Before I want to talk about the film's reception, drawing on, I've taught this film for about 10 years, until about a year ago, to thousands and thousands of students across Ohio State, and I've kind of tracked how they've responded to it over time. And then I want to conclude by talking about last year when God the Public turned 50, it was re-released, and there was this 4K HD release of it, and it kind of stirred up lots of new commentary about the Godfather. So those of you who've seen the film, who did you like? Was there a character who you particularly remember? A character who you thought that person's really cool, or that person's really Marlon Brando, one of the most difficult people to work with apparently in Hollywood. Marlon Brando. Anyone else? Michael? The son. Yes, the son, Michael Corleone. So we have this very clear legacy of the father and the three sons, and who's going to kind of take control. So I want to show you guys briefly the film's re-release trailer. Trailers are super fun. I love to study trailers. Trailers really help people from across different areas be primed to kind of be excited about something. So I want to show you the trailer for last year's re-release, and just kind of watch it and listen to any sort of language, like any sort of words that are repeated or anything like that strikes you about the trailer. Like, what kind of movie are you being kind of sold to go watch when you watch this trailer?
My father is no different than any other powerful man who's responsible for other people.
I had this part in the picture. It puts me right back up on top again.
Listen, Hollywood big shot's gonna give you what you want.
He says there's no chance.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
You know my father. I had to come here to kill him.
Now you want to get mixed up in the family business?
I thought you weren't going to become a man like your father.
I never wanted this for you.
Fredo, you're my older brother, and I love you. But don't ever take sides with anyone against the family again. Ever.
Michael, do you renounce Satan and all his works?
I do renounce him. I'm asking you about my business, Kate.
Is it true?
Leave the gun. Anything can only.
Any reactions to that trailer? Some of you might not have seen the film for a while, maybe some more recently. Did anything like strike you? Yes.
It's about family with a capital F and a small F.
Perfect. Can you take my class? It's about family with a capital F and a small f. It's all about family. Did anyone else have any reactions to it? Yeah.
I've never seen any of this. That's true.
Yeah.
Counter to the defense.
Yep.
Very interesting.
Yeah, that's a really great point, that the affection amongst the family members contraposed with incredible violence is a huge selling point of this film and many other Mafia movies. It happens frequently where you see the family, you see these people as sympathetic people who love one another, but then they go out and they're murderous villains. That's one of the things I work on. I call it sympathetic perpetrators, people who you are really interested in watching, but if they showed up at your house, you'd scream and run away. Yeah. Any other reactions to the trailer? Yes.
Take the gun.
Take the cannoli. How many of you remember that iconic phrase? Leave the gun, take the cannoli. That's one of the phrases that's spoofed, and I'll talk about how the Mafia, The Godfather has been spoofed in hundreds of TV series, commercials, etc., and that's one of the most iconic lines. Yes?
How accurate is what movies tell about the Mafia and actual Mafia in real life?
That's a very, how accurate is the representation of the Mafia with regards to how the Mafia operates in everyday life? That's a huge question for many books and classes, but I can say it totally depends. This is not super accurate, The Godfather. I mean, a lot of people say there's, certain stories it's based on in Hollywood, and then also some of the 5 crime families of New York. But you can find a little bit of truth in everything. But I think in terms of the structure, how women are treated, the violence, taking power by any means possible, all that's fairly accurate. And I'll say a little bit about that more later. So this is, you see this, you mentioned family, so this is all about fathers, it's about the family and man and business, brother people, Michael Caine, Fredo, these are all the people kind of central to this family, in this compelling story. Did anyone want to go watch The Godfather after seeing the trailer again? Does anyone want to? Yeah, I saw you kind of following it. It's one of those trailers that kind of, at least for me, I don't know how many times I've seen this movie, hundreds. I've taught it so much and worked on it, but I always want to watch it again, go watch it again. So one of the things, so there's 2 really iconic phrases in here. One is the cannoli one, and then there's another one. It's tied to Don Vito. Did anyone catch that one? It's a little earlier on. Make him an offer he can't refuse. You need to take the class too. So the offers are super, super interesting, and I want to play them all for you in the film. There's 4 offers in the film. And just listen to who says them. So different people will say them, and what they're kind of, if you remember what they're referring to, or just the kind of style of language that are used, and then I want to kind of discuss those offers with you. I'm just going to play them from. I'm just going to play them in a row without pausing, and then we can talk about them. Oh,
You can act like a man!
That's another famous scene. It just hopped forward.
That I can cling to. You are the one dream I pray comes true.
Please, tell me.
When Johnny was first starting out, he was signed to this personal service contract with a big band deal. And as his career got better and better, he wanted to get out of it. Now, Johnny is my father's godson. And my father went to see this band deal. And he offered him $10,000 to let Johnny go. The band deal said no. So the next day, my father went to see him, only this time with Uber drugs. And within an hour, he signed a release for a certified check of $1,000.
How did you do that?
My father made an offer he couldn't refuse.
You look dark. What's the date? Went to the rest well, and a month from now, this Hollywood big shot's gonna give you what you want.
Sure, ladies. I'm sure you have a week.
I'm gonna make him an offer again.
Hey, Mike, come in. Let me look at you.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Hey, listen to this.
The Turk wants to talk.
You got you imagine the nerve on this son of a bitch, eh?
Craps all this money, wants a beating fetish.
What did he say? What did he say? The beat, but that goof of beat, he wants us to send Michael here to proposition. And the promise is that the deal is so good that we can't refuse, eh?
What about Bruno the doctor?
What happened to Mo Green?
He said he had some business. He said give him a call when the party stopped.
Go give him a call.
Johnny, how are you?
Hello, Mike. Nice to see you again.
Happy Friday.
Thanks, Mike.
Sit down, Johnny. I want to talk to you. The Don's proud of you too, Johnny.
Well, I owe it all to him.
He knows how grateful you are. That's why he'd like to ask a favor.
Mike, what can I do?
The Corleone family is thinking of giving up all its interest in the olive oil business, selling out here. Now, Mo Green will sell us his share of the casino and the hotel, so it will be completely owned by the family. Don?
Mike, are you sure about that? Mo loves the business. He never said nothing to me about the stuff.
I'll make him an offer you can't refuse. See, Johnny.
Okay, I'm sorry. So those are the 4 scenes, and I'm going to pull up. Those are the 4 offers. My father made him an offer he couldn't refuse. I'm going to make an offer he can't refuse. And Sonny says, the promise is that the deal is so good we can't refuse it. And Michael says, I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse. Does anything look interesting there of those 4 different types of offers? One of them is not like the other. Exactly, they're accepting the offer instead of making it. The promise is the deal is so good that we can't refuse it, right? And so the other are the Michael and Don Vito ones are super declarative. This is my offer to you. You're gonna, But if some of you remember the film, there's the 3 brothers, right? There's Michael, and there's Fredo, and there's Sonny. They're very different kinds of people. They're very, very different kinds of people. Michael is going to take over for his father's place. Maybe I shouldn't. It's really hard not to give spoilers on a film from 1972, but I'll try to provide less. But it's kind of a way to code Michael and Don Vito as much more active fathers of the family, the godfather, and Sonny as someone who kind of doesn't know what he's doing. And also really interesting about this is the first one, my father made him an offer he couldn't refuse, is referencing something that happened in California. The second one, I'm going to make her an offer he can't refuse, it's Hollywood. And this one, I'll make him an offer he can't refuse. Do you know where they are here? Vegas. And so that's super interesting because it gets to this part about the mafia. In Italian, the mafia is called a piovra, or an octopus, because it has its tentacles in everything. So here, this is a really great image, which, does anyone know where that is? It's St. Peter's, yes. So this is, the mafia is involved with the church, it's involved with hospitals, with schools, with prisons, with the court system, with the university, and that kind of shows, and I think those offers show the international or the national reach of the Corleone family there, and you just see they're expanding beyond New York. And that scene, that really, my computer accidentally jumped ahead, and you saw the scene. One of the other very iconic scenes is when Don Vito tells Johnny Fontaine, "You can act like a man," because Johnny Fontaine he's crying, he's upset, he's not standing up for himself. And he says, "This is how you turned out, a Hollywood Pinocchio that cries like a woman." And Pinocchio literally is fennel, which is one of my favorite foods, but in Italian, it's a very, very, very derogatory term for a gay man. So he's saying something really negative to him, which is like, you don't act like a woman, or don't act like a gay man, you need to stand up for yourself. So that's kind of an interesting repetition of this, what it means to act like a man in the mafia. And I want to return briefly to the film's kind of casual racism. And recently I tracked down this kind of insider's perspective. I don't know if anyone's heard of Michael Francese. He was in the Colombo crime family. So to your point, he was an actual mobster who was arrested and spent a brief period in jail and now just loves to talk about the mafia and get paid lots of money for it. So you could hire him, for example, to come here and he will talk to you about the insider's perspective on the mafia. And he also owns a vineyard, apparently. And some of the taglines on the webpage, it says, "The man who has been harvested, crushed, and transformed into a new man by the mafia, and wine brought to you from the world's first vineyards by the man who's seen it all." And he, like many people within the mafia, say, like, we're not racist at all. Like, we're totally not racist. Don't worry about it. Mob guys didn't like African Americans. I hear that quite often. Not at all true. We weren't racist. Worked with many African Americans, especially in the music business. So, and he's just super outspoken with like tons of followers. And I tried to find out how much he charges to do these events, but it's not public. And I was kind of worried about sending in one of those, requests. I was like, I'd rather just stay away from that. So I want to talk a little bit about the women in the film. Does anyone remember there's Michael's two great loves in the film? Diane Keaton, Kay, yes. But before he meets Kay, he goes to Sicily when he's in hiding, and he falls in love at first sight with Apollonia. And when he's walking through, you'll remember Corleone. Some interesting fun fact about the film: this wasn't shot in Corleone. It was shot in two towns in a different part of Sicily called Forza d'Agro and Savoca. Not because of the mafia, but because those towns were much more pretty, and so they made for much better backdrops. That's not Corleone. It's a totally different town. But when he's walking through the countryside, his bodyguard says, in Corleone, women are as dangerous as the lupara. And a lupara is a very specific kind of gun. It's a gun that's used, it's a really big gun used to like chase off wolves from cattle, from animals and stuff. So lupo is a gun. So it's like, but lupara is also a gun that's been used many times in revenge killings. So have you guys heard the expression vendetta? So basically the bodyguard is saying, stay away from her, because if her honor is at all corrupted, her father's gonna come after you and kill you. But if you remember the film, Michael plays his cards right, approaches the father, gets the girl, and everyone is happy. And one thing that I think is really important for Michael's journey to actually be godfather is he has to go to Sicily, like physically. He has to live in Sicily. He has to marry someone who, she's more Greek than Italian. Like she's old school, like super old school Italian. Then she, spoiler, gets blown up in a car, and he comes home and he can take over his father's place because his father is vegan. So it's very symbolically important that he go to Sicily and meet Apollonia, because that makes him like really Italian. So he gets his street cred. But when he comes back, that's to New York, and is kind of the godfather in training. He runs into Kay again and basically makes the most unromantic wedding in this, that one, no, it's the top one, most unromantic marriage proposal in the world. He says, like, I need you. There's no love there, there's no nothing, but why does he need Kay? Why does Michael need to get married? Children. Yeah, he needs kids. He needs heirs, right? But Kay, you'll remember, because you've seen it, is the counter opposite of Apollonia. Kay frequently wears bright colors, she's outspoken, she questions Michael. This becomes a huge problem in The Godfather Part 2. She really, is very articulate. She has a job. Some of you will remember Apollonia can barely ever speaks in the film, and when she does, speaks in this jumbled English. She goes like Monday, Thursday, Friday, when she's learning to drive a car. So she's completely different to to Apollonia. But you'll remember how I want to show you the final image of the film, how the film ends, because it's a really interesting characterization of women in the Mafia. So this is about 1 minute and 20 seconds long. And this is after, as a reminder, this is after Michael's sister Connie is questioning him about his role in her husband's death. She's like, you did it, and Kay just wants the truth. She wants the truth.
Jesus, no.
Is it true?
Don't ask me about women.
No.
This one time. This one time when you asked me about my affairs.
Various subject matter. So anything interesting about that scene? First of all, is he honest with her? Not at all. Completely not honest with her. But it seems like she believes him. Like her body language almost makes it seem like she believes him, or she wants to believe him. Someone just said that. The second she leaves, that's when he's being inducted as like the new godfather, right? And interestingly, slide. There it goes. This is right before the door gets shut on her. So she's outside of the office, but where is she looking? Yeah, she's looking at the ritual, right? She's also looking square at us, square at the viewer. She's looking out, so she's kind of breaking like the fourth wall, or like looking out at the audience. So she's central, right? She's right into the doorway, she's central. But then the door gets shut on her, right? That kind of bars her from this very, very important ritual rite of passage of the Godfather. But it's interesting that the film ends on her. It doesn't end on what's happening in there, it ends on her. even though she's left out. So I think it gets to that paradox of mafia women, that they're central, very much central, and they're excluded. This woman, Renata Siebert, is kind of a mafia sociologist. She's interviewed hundreds of mafiosi in Sicily, mainly throughout Italy, who were either imprisoned or who turned state's evidence or collaborating with justice. And she said, I feel like someone's spying through a keyhole, because she gets all this really privileged information. And that's kind of, I think, what the situation with Kay is here, where she's kind of, and how many of you have seen part 2? Okay, so I won't say what happened, but you'll remember she does something pretty significant in part 2 to say, I'm not taking this anymore, Michael. If you do see it, then you have to come back and we can talk about that later. So I'm going to move on to part 2, and I think I want to make sure we have a lot of time for conversation, so I might just do my 2 parts today, which is about this course I've been teaching at Ohio State called Mafia Movies. I invented the course in 2012, having no idea if anyone would take it. So I just love, I'm passionate about the mafia. I was writing about it, things like that. And the first time I offered in 2012, it filled in like 2 days with 270 people in it. And it was super exciting. I taught it until I started the dean job. I taught it at least once a semester. I was also teaching it, if anyone is familiar with the Gateway movie theaters right next to campus. So I teach it in the movie theater, and we were able to screen in an actual theater. It was super fun. And then when the pandemic happened and we shifted online, it was opened up to anyone. And so I had about 500 to 600 students in each semester. Teaching it via a webinar, it was very weird, but it was really fun. We tried to make it as interactive as possible. One of the things I realized about this film is the students took the course, and I said the first day, how many of you seen The Godfather? And they all raised their hands. And then we watched The Godfather. How many of you have actually seen The Godfather, had seen The Godfather? And I do that by a private poll, so they can be honest. And like barely any of them had actually seen it. They just thought they had, because it's so iconic and it's so all over popular media. And so you could find references. One of the things I do, it's for fun, I just tell students, any time you see a reference to the Mafia or Mean Streets or Goodfellas or something like that, send it to me, we can talk about it at the beginning of class. So it's appeared in Modern Family, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Parks and Recreation, Killing Eve, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Family Guy, lots of Family Guy. Last week with John Oliver, Jersey Shore, Boy Meets World, Doolittle, Breaking Bad, Supernatural, Stars, Hannah Montana, Due Date, Arthur, Mad TV, Schitt's Creek, How I Met Your Mother, and I could go on. It's all over the place. And so, especially the scenes we already talked about. The Offer, for sure, Acting Like a Man, the cannoli and gun thing, and then one other, which is probably the most spoofed, that I want to watch with you. I want to watch the spoof with you. It's an Audi commercial, and the actual scene. Any ideas other than the ones I've mentioned, which might be one of the scenes that is spoofed or repeated the most in popular culture? Or set scene? Yes, poor cartoon. And so I want to watch. It's a fun exercise. We'll watch the spoof first. It's an Audi commercial that premiered during the 2008 Super Bowl. Yes.
Tell them what a cannoli is.
Oh,
Some people may not.
Oh, some people might not know what a cannoli is. Who would like to explain what a cannoli is? Anyone? It's a delicious pastry. It's like a hard shell that is injected with ricotta. Yeah, and frequently has, yes, it's cheese, and frequently has like chocolate chips or cherries and things on top of it. The Italian festival is next weekend, and they sell lots of cannolis. So there's various cannoli stalls down there in the Italian village. So I was watching the Super Bowl in 2008, and I love the commercials. As you know, it's like the most expensive airtime in a commercial of the Super Bowl, so you buy commercial space. And I saw this commercial, and I basically said, oh my gosh, The Godfather is so present in kind of American culture that people don't even have to see the movie. They know what it's all about. So I want to show you the commercial first, and then we'll watch the actual, the scene from the film. Okay, so that's the scoop, which I thought was pretty brilliant. And now I want to show you the actual scene from the film. It's only a minute and a half long. And as you watch it, just look at kind of how the camera's moving, what you hear, the pace of the editing, the pace changes, anything in the room that's interesting, anything interesting that you notice that kind of helps read what might be a tense moment in the film's narrative.